of our show. And as we know, the 79th Indonesian Independence Anniversary is just around the corner. And we want to talk about something that is related to our culture, which is language. Now, Indonesia is recognized as one of the world's most linguistically diverse nations with over 700 different dialects spoken across the country.
That is correct. And in November last year, Bahasa Indonesia, or the Indonesian language, also became the 10th official language for UNESCO General Conference. And this led many foreign nationals to get interested in learning the Indonesian language, and also, not only that, have a deeper understanding about Indonesian culture. So, to know more about how to learn Bahasa Indonesia, especially for Penutur Asing, or Bahasa Indonesia bagi Penutur Asing, or Bahasa Indonesia for foreign language speakers, or BIPA. This is a program that we have right now, right here. We're talking to a BIPA instructor, Omar Danishwara, in our studio, and also joining us to share her experience learning Bahasa Indonesia from afar, Uzbekistan, BIPA learner Rima Olimjonovna. Good morning.
Good morning, Rima and Omar.
Good morning.
Good morning. So,
Good morning.
So, Omar, this program has been going on since the 90s, right? It is a
Yes.
government program that was founded in the 90s. Tell us what BIPA is.
Well, this is actually an interesting thing about BIPA. So BIPA stands for Bahasa Indonesia for Penutur Asing. So basically it's an Indonesian learning program for foreigners or non-native speakers. And it's also a platform to bridge the cultures and to open the doors for people around the world to immerse themselves to us, Indonesians,
Yeah.
especially from the language. So yeah, basically the program. So you can just take BIPA program for preparing yourself to study in Indonesia, or to start your business, or to make relationship with Indonesian.
Okay, so it can be many reasons behind why somebody
Yes.
would want to learn to speak Bahasa Indonesia. Well, one of them being Rima, all the way from Uzbekistan. So good morning, Rima. Thank you for being with us today. I would like to first ask you, what was your reasoning and what got you interested in wanting to learn the Indonesian language to start off?
Thank you so much for inviting me today. Good morning, everybody. Yes, first I applied to my master degree program to Indonesia. And when I went to Indonesia, I started learning Bahasa Indonesia first before I started my degree. And I was really happy to learn Bahasa Indonesia. Why? Because most of my professors' books were written in Bahasa Indonesia, and it was really good for me to access to their writing. Of course, we had books in English as well, but mostly most of them were in Bahasa Indonesia, and it was really great opportunity for me to understand what they wrote about my field. And also I got an access to the literature, to the culture, because we learned Bahasa Indonesia with Indonesian culture as well. So I had really great opportunity to access to the culture through the language.
What are the interesting cultures that you've learned about Indonesia? Because we have so many, right? What has caught your interest?
Yes. Yes, we learned a lot about Indonesian culture. So we learned how to use angklung, the instrument, how to design batik, and how to make puppet show of wayang show. And also we cooked a lot Indonesian food. And when I went back to my country, to Uzbekistan, I really missed Indonesian cuisine, the foods of Indonesia. And I brought some bumbu here, and I always cook here when I miss Indonesian food, such as ayam goreng, nasi goreng, soto ayam, bakso. So I brought so many bumbu from Indonesia.
Rima, you're officially more Indonesian than I am.
Yeah.
So I want to ask a little bit about, someone like Rima obviously is very beneficial for her to learn the Indonesian language before she even gets introduced to the culture. But in order for somebody to qualify for the program, what's the process like for somebody who wants to take part in this program?
We have some tests actually. I mean, if you are interested to become Bipa instructor, so I applied once for what the government has a program for sending Bipa instructor to other countries.
Oh,
so there is
wow.
a standardized test. Like you're gonna take 1 or 2 different tests.
Yes.
It's called UKBI. You know,
Okay.
Uji Kemahiran Bahasa Indonesia.
Okay, okay.
It's TOEFL-like. So you're gonna listen to the dialogue of to Indonesian or more,
Right.
and after that, reading, writing,
Yes.
and structure thingies. And we also had teaching examination as well.
Right.
Yeah, for being qualified as a Bipa instructor.
Yeah, because you don't have to have the educational background of
You don't
being
have
a
to have a
teacher,
teacher
right?
certificate,
You
right?
can be from various educational background, but you
Yep.
have to go through this standardized test
Yes,
to be able to be
yes.
an instructor.
Yeah.
Right.
Right now, one of the universities in Indonesia, it's UPI, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia.
Yes.
UPI has a program for Bipa, and other universities also open for the students to learn how to
Right.
become Bipa instructor.
How many BIPA instructors do we have right now?
It's a lot.
Is
It's
it
a lot.
100 or?
Yeah, I think more. I think more
Wow.
because every batch, for example, if we talk about program, Bipa
Yes,
program
yes.
for other countries,
Yeah.
we send more than 100 instructors to go to different countries to promote bahasa and also the culture.
What are some of the
Seriously?
countries,
Yes.
what are some of the countries that we are more involved
Yeah,
in?
we send. The countries, ASEAN.
Yeah,
okay,
ASEAN for sure.
And then some countries in Europe,
Uh-huh.
USA,
Yeah.
Australia.
Wow.
Yeah. In Thai, we have more than 40 institutions in Thailand.
In Thailand?
In Thailand.
That's amazing. So what's the curriculum? What does a class look like? Because I imagine when you're teaching the learners from abroad, you do it online, right?
Yep.
So what does the course look like?
Imagine it's an English class.
Yes.
So it's as fun as English class actually.
Right.
Yeah. Never imagine Bipa as learning Bahasa Indonesia at school.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's far different.
Okay, what would be your method as an instructor? Right?
Well, yeah, it's going to be more interactive.
Yes.
And then for the curriculum itself, the government has already, designed specific curriculum for Bipa itself.
Yes.
But we also need to customize the curriculum if it's needed,
Yeah.
because the variety of the purposes.
For example, somebody
learners.
wanting it for business would have a
Yes,
different-
we have Bipa for business. We have Bipa for politics, maybe.
Yeah.
Bipa for literature, and Rima Bipa for academics.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
So Rima, how did you apply? I mean, what was the process? Do you remember?
The process of learning Bahasa Indonesia.
Yeah, like when you got involved in this program, what was the application process like?
Yes, we applied to the scholarship and we were interviewed in the Embassy of Indonesia in Uzbekistan.
Okay.
So they asked us what motivates us to learn Bahasa Indonesia and what motivated us to study in Indonesia and so on. So we answered the question and we were accepted. And I want also to mention that we also have 3 institutions in Uzbekistan which has the Indonesian department at the university. The first one is the Uzbek State World Languages University. We have Indonesian department, and Tashkent State of Oriental Studies, and Samarkand State University. So we have Indonesian departments there. And sometimes I'm invited to share my experience in Indonesia, and I am so happy to share my experience with the Uzbek students who are learning Bahasa Indonesia in Uzbekistan.
What is your unforgettable experience learning Bahasa Indonesia, Rima?
Yes, I had a lot of unforgettable memories. in Indonesia while I was learning Bahasa Indonesia, because as I mentioned before, we learned the culture as well
Yes.
with the language. Because language opens the gate. Yes, it's a gateway or bridge to understand the value, the traditions, and customs of other cultures. So one of my experiences, I can mention that it was Indonesian traditional dance, tari Indonesia. I think it was Javanese. So I was acting like a bird. So it was really hard for me to try it first, but then I really enjoyed the Indonesian dance because, for example, in my country, we can just move our hands like this
Yes.
and legs, foot. But in Indonesia, when I tried the Javanese dance, then I moved even my eyes. Yes, eyes like a
Right.
bird,
Yes.
and I was on my feet, on my toes. So it was a bit hard for me at the beginning, but then I really enjoyed. And also, one of my memory in Indonesia while I was learning Bahasa Indonesia, it was about homestay because I stayed with Indonesian family and I got my bapa, ibu in Indonesia, and they are a lot actually. So I stayed with them. I experienced the traditions and customs with Indonesian family. So I was invited to their children's wedding party, or I can say that
So Indonesian,
there
right?
are a lot of customs and events while pregnancy period. So while their bride or while
Oh,
the wife of
yes.
their children was pregnant, there were a
Yes.
lot of customs during
Yes.
this 9 months. So it was really interesting for me
Yes.
to follow.
So
We-
you're already
yeah.
part of the family,
Yeah.
basically.
But that's what happens a lot, actually. I've heard so
Yeah.
many stories when, foreign tourists or visitors or they come to Indonesia and then they're immediately welcome to
Yes.
some random Indonesian family's house, and that's it. They take care of them. It's very sweet.
There was a viral video of a
Really?
foreign couple that was just going by a local wedding, and they were invited in, and they greeted the guests, and they had the local food, and the family used it as an opportunity to introduce them to local cuisine as well, because it was a wedding buffet as well. Rima, how difficult? I'm curious. How difficult did you find learning Bahasa Indonesia? Because
Yeah.
it is a very phonetic language. There's not a lot of grammar, but there's a lot of vocabulary. What were some of the things that you found most challenging, or did you find it challenging at all to learn Bahasa Indonesia?
At the beginning it was a bit challenging because in Bipa course we had a grammar class and we learned a lot about the prefixes and suffixes because
Yes.
they are a lot
Yes.
in Indonesian grammar,
Di.
like ber, men. So it was a bit challenging for me. But then we had other courses, other lessons, something like culture, vocabulary teaching, vocabulary learning, and they were enjoyable. And when I went outside with my friends, with my Indonesian friends, then I found it easy. Why? Because of the environment. So they are
Yeah.
using Indonesian language with me, and they are not using a lot ber, men. So it was
That's
a
right.
bit confusing for me then. So then I realized that even we don't use them, but actually it can be understandable for others.
That is correct.
So the main point is to learn vocabulary first. So I learned a lot of vocabulary at the beginning,
Yes.
and it gave me opportunity to understand and to produce my Indonesian language. So I can say that it's not as difficult as other languages. Why? Because we don't use the tenses.
Yes,
So
correct.
if we add besok, sekarang, besok, sekarang, dan yesterday it was
Kemarin.
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 yeah, kemarin, sekarang, besok. Yeah, we can make it understandable to others. So
Yes.
we don't have irregular verbs
No.
as in English.
Yes.
So it's not as difficult as other languages.
No, you just have to
That's
have a good
true.
memory, and you can
Yeah.
you just memorize a lot of
Yeah.
vocabulary.
Yes,
There's
that's
nothing
true.
locals love more than foreigners who speak our language.
my gosh,
And they'll
we love
immediately be
it.
very helpful. And
Absolutely. I guess it's like the French as well, right?
Yes.
I mean, once you say bonjour, ça va, they immediately just open up to you because it's like, oh, yeah, exactly. How nice. Rima, were you in Jakarta or were you in other parts of Java when you were here? When you were in Indonesia?
When I was there, I learned Bahasa Indonesia in Jogja.
In Jogja.
But I explored a lot. So I went to Malang. I was invited to some events in Malang, Bogor, Purwakarta, Sumatra, Bali. So I explored a lot.
Was this part of the Bipa program, like the traveling? I mean, the invitations to different parts?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Indonesia has a Dharma Siswa scholarship program.
Okay.
And it's so much fun. You're gonna have a traveling program or like
Dharma
trip.
Siswa.
Yeah,
Okay.
to some regions in Indonesia.
Yes.
And then they also have like gathering for the opening, and after that for the closing of the program.
Right.
It's so fun.
So this is part of the Dharma Siswa program.
Rima applied for different program.
Right.
There is also a scholarship called KNB, Kemitraan Negara Berkembang.
What's that?
So it's a program scholarship for those who want to learn or study in Indonesia.
Yes.
For degree or
Or schooling.
Yes. And then Dharma Siswa is not for that. It's
Right.
not really academics.
Right.
Yeah, and then other things about Bipa, it's, you can also just learn Bahasa Indonesia with your friends or
Yeah.
not through the institutions. And then we have now internet, so it's a game changer. So you can just be
Yes.
connected to other
Yeah.
who want to learn Bahasa Indonesia. And we have also an application, okay,
Oh, yeah?
it's called Bahasa Kita.
Bahasa Kita, that's the
Bahasa
application.
Kita,
Right.
and then you can just learn Bahasa Indonesia, including the suffix, prefix.
Dharma bermen. Oh my goodness.
And it's all, provided in English. So it's gonna be easier to learn Bahasa Indonesia through
That's
English. So you
great.
misput it.
I think I could use that.
Yeah, Bahasa Kita, don't forget to download the app.
So, you've been involved in Bipa for, 15 years now, right, Omar?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah,
2009.
2009.
I mean, that has been like a journey that you continue to be on. That tells me that you find this work very satisfying. Obviously, when you see someone like Rima, who is able to come from a foreign country and learn so much about not only our language, but our culture as well, what are some of the reasons that you continue to be involved in Bipa, and how much fulfillment have you gained from it so far in your time?
Oh, wow. Well, I can say I've always been fascinated, by knowing different cultures. And I believe also, as Rima said, a language can, be a powerful tool.
Yes.
To understand the cultures and to respect other perspectives.
And to gain trust.
Yeah, exactly, Marissa. Yeah, that's what I got. And I'm now connected to, to other people from different
So many parts of the
countries.
world, right?
Yeah, parts of the world. Even though, I got also a friend, a colleague from Hungary, and he just loves Indonesia so much. He come to Indonesia after finishing Dharma Siswa scholarship.
Right.
Yes.
Like went to Pecel Lele to enjoy the food.
Wow.
We love Pecel as well.
Yeah, doing the research about Islam in Indonesia for his dissertation.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Fascinating.
And now he's learning
Yeah.
Sanskrit or Hindi's language to learn more about the influence of Hindu in Indonesia.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't even know
Now, I've heard of
anything
this
about
as
that.
well. Very deep.
I mean, that's our history in Indonesia. Wow, that's amazing.
And Rima is now also a doctor.
Hey, what was your studies when you were studying in Indonesia, Rima?
My major is language education science. So I got my PhD at Yogyakarta State University.
Wow.
Okay, so any plans to come back to Indonesia in the future, in the near future, perhaps?
After my study, I went to Indonesia once a year.
Yeah.
So I'm just back 2 days ago from Indonesia.
Oh my goodness.
Because after my long study, it's impossible to stay here without going to Indonesia because Indonesian people attracts me a lot, and I always miss my Indonesian friends, Bapak, Ibu, and I always go once a year to explore more And when I miss the food, when I miss Bapak Ibu and Indonesian friend, I just buy my ticket and I go. And sometimes I'm invited to the international conferences in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Some of them are in English, and some of them are in Bahasa Indonesia when they are national seminars. And I present sometimes in Bahasa Indonesia, and
Amazing.
they love a lot. They
Of
appreciate a
course.
lot, and I also have
Yeah.
great access with Indonesian people and good connection with them. And Mas Omar also one of my friends, one of my very first friends in Indonesia. He helped me a lot through the course, and when I had difficulties, he guided me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mas Omar.
Yay.
Perhaps could you give maybe one or two sentences to Mas Omar in Bahasa Indonesia, perhaps showing your appreciation for what he's done for you through Bipa?
Yes, of course. Mas Omar, saya senang sekali bahwa Anda tutor saya dan teman saya yang pertama di Indonesia. Saya menghormati apa yang lakukan untuk saya, seperti guiding. Kalau ada kesulitan, selalu siap bantu dan selalu senyum dan happy, senang. Jadi saya berterima kasih banyak. Saya selalu ingat apa yang lakukan, apa yang bantuan dari Anda, Mas Omar. Terima kasih.
He's touched.
Amazing,
It's such-
Rima.
Terima
Wow.
kasih banyak.
Your accent is also really nice, Rima.
Yeah, your
Oh my.
pronunciation is
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
And
yeah.
thank you for reminding us all as we get set for another Independence Day celebration to remind us all to be more Indonesian. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Rima, and thank you so much, Omar.
Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Mbak Rima. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you so
All
much.
right. By the way, how can we learn more about Bipa for those who are interested? How can we get more
Website
information?
or
Yeah, you can go to Kemendikbud and find information about Bipa. And yeah, you can also learn Bipa through Bahasa Kita.
yeah, bahasa kita.
Yeah.
Don't forget. I'm
Yes.
gonna download
Yeah,
that
yeah,
actually.
please, because
Yeah.
it's created by an Indonesian diaspora.
Diaspora, yeah.
She's now in Australia, but developed the application. It's great.
That's amazing. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of Australians, actually, Australia used to have a lot of, they used to have in their curriculum where the students had to learn Bahasa Indonesia because we're the closest neighbor, right?
Yeah,
Is that a
Yeah.
famous Hollywood actor that can speak Bahasa?
Who? Seriously?
Yes.
Australian?
Yes, he's Australian.
Hugh Jackman?
No, no.
Who? Kate
But someone
Blanchett?
similar. I'll figure it out during the break and I'll let you know. I'll Google it. Once again, thank you so much, Omar, and thank you,
Thank you.
Rima, so
Thank you,
much. It's
Rima.
been a
Thank you,
very
Omar.
enlightening conversation. Glad to have met you both.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a short break here on the program. We have plenty more to come here on the C Morning Show. We have including some of the latest updates, so stay with us. We'll be right back after this.